People look at world leaders, war makers, dictators, billionaires, technocrats, and then they say, those people are psychopaths. They're bad, they're evil, they have no soul. But I always think, what if they're not psychopath, but what if they're just not human? I know it sounds crazy, it sounds insane, and I know it's something you're not supposed to say out loud. But just look at their facial expression, their mouth, the smile, the eyes, the way they talk, the way they move, the empty, perfect words, the lack of emotion, the rehearsed compassion, the way they talk about death, about control, about war, about suffering, just like they're reading numbers on a screen. What's wrong with them? Normal people, they feel guilt, they hesitate, they break. But these people, they don't look broken to me. They look well trained, they look well rehearsed. They look like bad actors pretending to be human. The official story is simple, they're just humans, powerful humans, greedy, corrupt, damaged, narcissists, psychopaths. The power just made them cold as ice, and that's where the official explanation stops. But I don't really buy that, because I see the pattern everywhere, all over the world. Different countries, different parties, different faces, always the same behavior, the same look, the same words, talking about war and death, like it's just a budget meeting. They talk about suffering and misery like it's just numbers on a screen, and then in the evening they go home and they sleep well at night. So at some point I stop thinking, whoa, they're just bad people. And I start wondering, are we sure those are people? Maybe calling them psychopaths is the closest human word we have. And maybe we use that word because we still assume they're the same category as us. But what if they don't? What if some of them are hybrids? What if some of them are synthetics? What if some of them are engineered bloodlines? What if some of them have something non-human in a human body? What if some of them are not from here? I'm not saying that I know, I'm just saying that this is a question people are trained to laugh at and to ridiculize when we ask, are you sure that they're like us? Aldous Huxley wrote a book, Brave New World, a world where people were not just born, they were made, designed, engineered, conditioned, trained. Built for a role and a task even before they had a choice. Some were built as workers, some were built as doctors, engineers, soldiers, leaders. Some were made to manage, others were made to rule. And that's the disturbing part. Not because Brave New World is fiction and fantasy, but it all sounds a little too familiar to me. Maybe it's not only a warning. Maybe it's also a simplified version of something much older. Just think about it. If you want to control humanity, would you put real humans at the top? With real feelings, empathy, guilt, compassion, who would hesitate to send people to die? Of course not. You need something else. You need something cold as ice, something that doesn't break, that has no feelings, no compassion, no guilt. Something that can wear a suit, smile on camera, use the right words, and make decisions like a machine. Something that looks like human from the outside, but has nothing human inside. So maybe the real question is not, why are so many leaders psychopaths? Maybe the real question is, are we sure they're human? A face can be worn, a name can be used, a suit can be put on, a speech can be rehearsed, a smile can be copied, empathy can be faked. So maybe they're not human, maybe human is a disguise. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just ordinary people corrupted by power, and there's nothing more to it. But I can't ignore the pattern, and there's so much they do that looks like a war against humanity itself. My grandparents always taught me, if there's smoke, there's a fire. So I stopped thinking, why are they evil? And I started thinking, what are they? Don't believe me? Think for yourself.